Hey Joe, I've been thinking about buying a home in Southwest Florida, and I have some questions. First, I'm worried about hurricanes, insurance, and floods. What can we do about that?
So you're worried about hurricanes, flood, and the insurance costs that's going on down here. Totally fair questions. We're going to focus on resiliency of the home. And that's the first step we're going to take. We're going to focus on homes that have newer roofs, that are full impact windows and doors, which helps you with that hurricane rating, the higher elevations, and we're going to get a documentation of wind mitigation. And so you can get your credits. We're going to explain that a little bit later on in the process. But that combo doesn't just lower your risk of your house having issues with those events, but it also lowers your premium. For every address, we're going to show you the year of the roof, the impact rating, the elevation, the flood zone, so that you can make those deciding factors and not fear what's going to happen if you're getting into a situation during those types of events, during those types of seasons. The property sits low and lacks impact features. We're either going to budget for those upgrades with a seller's credit, or we're going to pivot to a better home that fits your criteria.
The insurance costs seem out of control. Is there any way to manage them?
So high insurance rates, totally get it. You're seeing it on the news, you're seeing it on social media. Premiums do vary very differently in Florida based off of where you're located. And that, Florida is on the higher side of things, but the same house that can price very differently across different type of carriers can range depending on the roof's age, the electrical and plumbing updates, your deductible that you decide to put in for. So if you give us an address, we look at some of these addresses, we're going to figure out what it is that you apply for credits, what they require for insurance, whether you're in a flood zone, out of a flood zone, all those type of things, and what things we can do to mitigate some of that cost for you later down the road, and maybe even factor that into possibly getting a assumable insurance rate from the previous owner who maybe has a better, more favorable policy than you could possibly get on your own. So these are all things that we can factor in and try to negotiate during the process of buying your house.
Also, HOAs and special assessments really scare me. How can we be sure there are no surprises?
So HOAs and special assessments scare you. I totally get that. If you're not used to these type of things, or if you've never been in an HOA, or you don't even know what a special assessment is, I can totally validate that can be a scary situation, but we're gonna walk through this a little bit. So surprises are very scary and documents aren't. Before you commit, when we pull the trigger on a HOA or a condo or anything that has those type of assessments, we're going to figure out what their budget is, what the reserves are for that community, and scheduled for engineering and milestone reports and recent board minutes, so that you see all the fees, the rules, the planned projects, and reserves that are healthy in the black and white and not in the red. If we spot under funded reserves or a big project with no plan, or they haven't gotten their milestone report and they haven't gotten what that's going to cost, we're going to take that into consideration, and we're going to make sure that you are not caught off guard with regards to all these types of things. So don't worry, we're going to get all that information. Doesn't prevent you from putting an offer in on a house. It gives you a period of time during that home inspection, due diligence period, to get all your ducks in a row to make sure it is that you're buying something that gives you peace of mind and comfort that you are buying the right piece of property for you down here in Southwest Florida.
What about these new condo laws and milestone inspections? How does that affect me?
What about the condo laws and the new milestone inspections, and you're concerned about how that plays out and what does that mean? Maybe you don't even know what that is talking about. I totally get that. Down in Florida, we have, several different things that are a little bit different than some other places in the state. We're impacted by different elements. And so Florida has taken steps to help prevent any accidents that might occur from maybe deferred maintenance, or not having a structural engineer coming out to take a look at how that's impacting your structure. So this really applies to more so condos of 3 stories or higher, with these milestone inspections. And it does depend on how close you are to the coastline, but all condos and buildings that are 3 stories or higher do have to go through several different types of inspections, milestone, a couple other ones that we'll get into, but everybody has to deal with some kind of structural inspection periodically throughout the life of that structure. And these are good things for you. We're trying to prevent, your structure, your home, your asset from, falling down or not being of value or, potentially saving your life. We heard about what happened over in Miami a couple of years ago, so we're trying to prevent that from happening. So these are all good things for you. Now, what's the trade-off? You do get assessments, you get situations where, costs to get things repaired, has to be divided up between all of the people in the community. But the great thing about it is that those are all planned or should be planned, and we're going to determine whether your association is doing that when we're buying the property. And we're going to make sure that they have the reserves in place, they have a plan in place, they've gotten those things done when they were supposed to get them done, and that these are not caught off guard situations for you. These are all good things, but we need to make sure that they're put in place, that they're managing the community properly so that you're not going to be caught off guard, that you're not going to have a huge bill at the end of the day, and that you are going to be in a good situation in your new property.
I'm thinking I should wait for prices to drop more. Is that a good idea?
I hear this all the time. I'm waiting for prices to drop more. And, we talk about this in context to the stock market. You always want to buy low and sell high. People want to do the same thing with regards to real estate. And waiting can help your price and might drive your monthly down. But, at the end of the day, if your price is so dependent on a couple of dollars here and there, you're not going to be able to get the exact property potentially that you want. You might, but there's a higher probability that you're going to lose out on a property that you really, really want to get or the location you want to get. So what I always like to tell people is that, it's all dependent on your situation and what you want to do. We got several situations going on right now with the interest rates going down. So as they get down to that tick mark where everybody else feels the same way that, okay, now's the time to buy, you're going to have a lot more competition, which means the price of that property is probably going to go up. Right now, we have a balanced market down here in Southwest Florida, so you have the ability to have a lot of negotiations and determine what your price is. It's a little bit more go back and forth between the seller and buyer versus we've had in the last couple of years. Now, I think, I don't have a crystal ball, but my prediction is in the next 12 months, that is going to tip more into the seller side of the court here, that they're going to have more of the benefits of being able to be a little bit more stringent on what they ask and asking for higher prices. A couple of reasons here is because the interest rates are going to be going down. So you're going to have more buyers in the market. So with more buyers, less supply, eventually you can basically pick your price. Second is that down here in Southwest Florida, or just in Florida in general, next November, they're voting on whether you're going to have property tax or not for full-time residents. We can get into that a little bit more. You watch a couple other videos that we have on our YouTube channel that explains it a little bit more. But what's going on is that will eliminate property tax for anybody who is a full-time resident. And if that happens, you're putting $8,000 to $15,000 into people's pockets, gives them more buying power, gives them more desirability to want to buy sooner than later. So if you're looking to try to get some negotiations and get the best property with the best price with the most amount of variety right now is the time to buy. But it all is dependent on your situation and what you're trying to do. So let's have that conversation.
Will my place actually rent in season? How can we be sure?
Will your property rent during season? If that's what you're trying to do, I get it. People want to buy, get a little asset, maybe rent it for a little while before they decide to retire, or they just make it an asset and make it a rental property. The short answer is, if the product fits the demand, then yes, it will rent. We confirm rules first on all city and county and HOA with regards to how often that property can be rented, because each community is very different. So if you have a single family home that is not in a gated community, but maybe that county or that city is not allowing you to rent, maybe they put a ban on short-term rentals. So we got to take a look at all those things. But then there are gated communities that some of them are only like maybe 4 rentals a year, and you have to have 30 days in between each rental. Or maybe there's some of these condos that it's the same way as that gated community, or maybe it is weekly, 52 times a year you can rent it, but you have to have a week in between. These all things determine on whether it's very desirable as a investment property to rent, or are you going to do a little bit longer term rental, or are you just doing seasonal rental? So all these questions have to be considered, and when we have a little bit more time to deep dive into what your wants are, we're going to ask all these questions so that we're making sure we're guiding you to the proper community and the proper house that fits all of your criteria, not just a couple.
I'm really worried about the traffic and seasonality down there. Is it manageable?
So you're worried about traffic and season down here in Southwest Florida. I get it. I mean, when I live here year round, so like I see it more than maybe most, because like when you're driving, during off season you don't have as much traffic, but during season it feels like there's a lot more traffic. But daily life is all about micro locations. We'll map out a good routine in a location where all your daily activities are. So if you're here year round, we're gonna put you closer to those things that you do on a daily basis. So even if it is a little bit of busier during those seasons, you're having ease to get back and forth. And if you're looking at from you want to be in a certain proximity to the beach because of the fact that you are here during season only, well, we're going to factor that in too. With those things, we're going to take into consideration all of the criteria that you got going on, whether it's location to the beach, whether it's I don't want to be in a flood zone, to I want to be in a gated community or not want to be in a gated community. So it's all those things that we got to take into consideration, but we can help mitigate that issue or feel or vibe. In the grand scheme of things, Southwest Florida is a destination for season, and it is geared up that way. It's designed that way. So I don't think there should be anything to fear with that, other than the fact that you're going to have a lot more people like you wanting to enjoy the sun here in sunny Southwest Florida.
What if we find a place with an older roof or bad pipes? Are those deal breakers?
Older roofs, cast iron, or polybutylene, are these all deal breakers? What does that mean? What are we talking about? Well, these are all things that we have to consider when we're looking at houses. So older roofs, we got to make sure that either it is in your budget to replace that roof, or we're going to factor in the negotiations that's going to have to be done. We're going to make sure that, sometimes you can't even get homeowners insurance until that is done. So maybe that's something that we have to push back on the owner and have them replace it before you buy. All things that we're going to consider during that inspection period if the house that you're looking for have these things. There are other things like the polybutylene piping that isn't common here in most condos that are older condos. Those really need to be replaced. That's a costly expense. We're going to make sure that those are all taken care of prior to you purchasing that property, making sure that the previous owner did what they were supposed to do and update all these things. So is it a deal breaker? No, we've been able to negotiate these things, have it taken care of before closing, but it's all things that you have to be aware of. And if you don't have the right person to be on your side to help navigate these situations, it could be a problem, but it isn't for us. We've dealt with this before in the past, and we can help you, navigate those situations in the future.
These appraisal gaps make me nervous. How do we handle that?
Okay. What about appraisal gaps if the house isn't appraised because of the fact that they're selling at a higher price than what now that it's coming in at appraisal? Well, here's the thing. Everything's negotiable. You don't have to necessarily buy a house that is out of the price point of what we come back as an appraisal price. Just because somebody wants that for the house doesn't mean that that's what the house is worth. Totally get that, and so do the banks. So how do we handle this? So if you fall in love with a property, we're going to put together what we can do to help control this situation. And we're going to put together a comp pack for the appraiser. So when you get to the underwriting process and the appraiser, it has a really strong understanding of what that property's true value is, because every community is very different. Some of these communities, you have the same model, but you have like 10 to 15 variances of that model and what they have for features, things, location, exposure to the sun. All these things take in consideration the cost of what that property is. So if they're taking a property that doesn't have all the favorable aspects, not the upgrades, it's just the bare bones, and they're trying to compare that one to maybe the one that is completely decked out, it's not comparing apples to apples, even though that house is identical structurally, but everything else with regards to it is not. So we're going to make sure that we're comparing like properties with like properties, and we're going to help the appraisers with this by providing them this information. We can only do so much, but we can always challenge those appraisers after they come in, and we can try to get our own independent appraisers. We can get the seller to get an independent appraiser. So we can do everything we can to make sure that you can actually get financing for these properties and that you're going to be able to get the house that you want to get. All that being said is that our first goal is to find you the house that you love. We like to look at houses in respects to what kind of lifestyle do we want to live, and then we're going to back you track into that house that is going to be perfect for you, and then everything else starts rolling into place.
And finally, the short-term rental rules seem so confusing. Can you help clarify them?
So what's up with these short-term rental rules? We talked about it a little bit a couple questions ago, right? So, sometimes these communities only allow you to rent so many times a year for a certain period of time. That's because they don't want so much turnover. They don't want so many short-term, non-invested people to be in those gated communities or condos, et cetera, but also some of these cities and counties don't want you to do that either. So we're going to figure out what all the terms and regulations are for each one of the properties that you're looking at. And if it's something that's really important to you to do a short-term rental, because that's what you're trying to gear towards, we're going to show you properties that are only in that kind of criteria so that you're not, your heart doesn't fall in love with something that you can't get, that doesn't fit your criteria, that makes no sense for anyone, and it's a waste of time. So we're going to save you that time. We're going to get you into those areas that fit your criteria, and then we're going to see those properties. So I hope you like this little back and forth that I had with Alex. I mean, let's be honest, everybody has their questions. These are kind of our top 10. I loved having this kind of a conversation with somebody because I get these all the time and we get different ones. If you have other questions that are maybe not in these, or you want to ask a little bit deeper dive with regards to some of these questions, love to answer them for you. We're always here and available for you here at the Anchor Point Group. I just absolutely love helping people find their piece of paradise down here in Southwest Florida. And I want you to be as happy as I am making the move from the Northeast down here. Me and my business partner, Jarrett, are absolutely a team. We're 50-50 on everything. You get 2 realtors for the price of 1. And we're just here to make sure that you feel comfortable in making the best decision for you and your family by moving here to Southwest Florida. And if that is where your heart's desire is, we're here to step that course with you and walk down that road or down that beach, whichever one you want to talk about. And if you have any questions, reach out to us at info@anchorswfl.com, or you can reach us at the phone number below. And we're here 24/7 for you, because that's what we're all about. We're anchored in our faith, but we're driven by our results. So until next time, I hope this helped out. Subscribe, click the link, give a thumbs up if you want, and I'll catch you on the next video.